I'd like to acknowledge some of the dignitaries that we have here this evening in the stage party. Ask that these individuals stand up when I ask their name, please. Dr. Randy Danielson, Dean of the Arizona School of Health Sciences. It's your part. Dr. Norman Gevitz, Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. Dr. Craig Phelps, President. And we have some of the other associate and vice deans from the Arizona School of Health Sciences with us. And the folks that I have the privilege to work with every day, the department faculty. Stand up, please. And now I have the honor and privilege of introducing Professor and Dean of the Arizona School of Health Sciences, Dr. Randy Danielson.
Thanks, Dr. Simon. I can take direction. Well, Dr. Phelps and Dr. Gevitz, thank you for being here. I have to tell you that these gentlemen are supporting us today. This is their fourth white coat ceremony today, and they've been here and energetic, all four of them. So thank you so much for being here for us. Well, let me sincerely welcome you, family, friends, faculty, and the ASHS PA classes of 2014 and 2015 to this exciting event. I always look forward to events like this because it's an opportunity to stop and reflect on these important milestones in your education. And I have just a short message for you. To the class of 2015 receiving your white coats today, the white coat signals a transition. It's also a symbol of transformation. The white coat will mean different things to different people. Some of your future patients, perhaps a grandmother, will view the wearer of a white coat as having power and absolute knowledge and will not question your authority. Others may view the wearer as someone who is an equal partner in managing their healthcare issues. And to a child, fear may be his or her immediate reaction. To your peers, the white coat symbolizes an accomplishment, such as getting into PA school and completing PA school and moving into practice. Whatever your patient's perceptions of a white coat is, you will have the opportunity to mold, transform, even tarnish, or improve that perception. I'd like you to think for a moment that the white coat symbolizes healing. It represents a contract between you and every patient that you care for. The contract may mean that you, indeed all PAs, will provide the best evidence-based practice that science has available in a compassionate and supportive environment in order to facilitate healing. To the class of 2014, receiving your pin today, which symbolizes the transition of first-year students to second-year clinical students. In other words, getting more into what it means to be a physician assistant. I know you're ready for that adventure. George Milton once said, "Of one thing I am certain, the body is not the measure of healing. Peace is the measure." This, I believe, is a critical but often overlooked component of the healing process. Whether we are aware or not, the process of regaining function aids the patient in making peace with their disease, their disability, or impairment, and therefore impacts the patient's potential for healing. You are part of that healing process. Congratulations for this milestone to your education. We are so very proud of you. It's now my honor to introduce our president of ATSU, Dr. Craig Phelps, who is a 1984 graduate of the ATSU Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine. He became provost of the university's Arizona campus back in 1998, where he led the team that developed our current campus and its three academic units, the Arizona School of Health Sciences, the Arizona School of Dentistry and Oral Health, and the School of Osteopathic Medicine in Arizona. In 2010, Dr. Phelps became the university's first executive vice president for strategic initiatives, and in 2011 became the 11th president of ATSU. A caring clinician and compassionate educator, and certainly a good friend of the PA profession, Please help me in welcoming Dr. Craig Phelps.
Thank you, Dr. Danielson. Congratulations on your achievements that we're going to celebrate tonight, moving forward with the pinning and the white coat. In 1993, the first white coat ceremony was held. As Dr. Danielson said, it symbolized the psychological contract between you and your patients. And when you think about that, a psychological contract, what does that mean? It means that in return for you allowing to learn from patients in their most vulnerable moments, sickness, frailty, death, birth, and in return for allowing you to have the privilege of learning and being involved in the most fragile moments of their life, they expect you to do the very best job that you can do under your mentor. And it's with that social contract, that we're allowed to learn the practice of medicine. And in return, take that knowledge upon graduation and apply it to all of society. Once again, all of society. In addition, apply that knowledge to future generations of physician assistants and other healthcare providers you may educate. So you think of that awesome responsibility, and how do you prepare for it? Well, the excellent faculty sitting before you, your supporters sitting behind you, and your peers on this journey sitting next to you are the ones that are going to help you understand and learn how to deal with this enormous responsibility. As Dr. Danielson said, I've been privileged. I practiced medicine for 27 years before being allowed to have the privilege to be president of A.T. Still University. And I had the privilege for many, many years practicing side by side in partnership with a physician assistant. And even at one time, many, many years ago, Dr. Danielson was in our office practicing with us. So the importance of physician assistants and their role in healthcare in this country is undeniable and essential. So being a great physician assistant is not about being perfect, but it's about doing the very, very best you can do each and every day as a student and as a practitioner. So when you look into the eyes of that child, that mother, that father, that grandmother, that grandfather, in their most desperate time of need, you know deep down in your heart that you have done the very, very best you can do for that individual. That's what makes a great physician assistant. Congratulations and good luck on your journey. Thank you.
Well, we've spent a lot of time this year in discussing our mission and trying to coalesce everything around our mission. The big part of that mission is service to those that are less fortunate. When we talked about inviting a keynote speaker to this event, we could think of no one better than Pam Burwell to fulfill that particular niche. Our keynote speaker this evening, Ms. Burwell, was a recipient of the 2008 AAPA Humanitarian of the Year and the 2009 Distinguished Fellow of the American Academy of Physician Assistants Award. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Pam Burwell.
Dr. Simon, Dr. Phelps, Dr. Danielson, friends and family, loved ones who've accompanied these two classes here today, the faculty of the A.T. Still University PA program, all of you, thank you for having me. I have good news to share today, and I have other news to share. But first of all, the good news. Just beyond these white coats and these symbolic pins, most of you most certainly will have a good job ahead of you. You're going to have the respect of your loved ones, the respect in your home. You're going to have confidence in yourselves and confidence of your patients, and a lighted path to self-actualization. It's good stuff. And then there's other news. I'm going to let you decide if the other news is also good news, and If it's bad news or if it's just other news, you don't have to decide at all, but here's the other news. More is expected of you than just showing up at this good job. It's never going to be just enough just to get a good job when you're a PA, because it's a whole new identity that you're taking on. This seminal event today, this seminal event of the white coat, of the pins, you're evolving in time-lapse photography speed during these 2 years that you're here. There's nothing quite like it ever before in your life. You know that, and your loved ones here sitting in this beautiful auditorium know this. There's nothing to compare. You're embarking on an opportunity to be able to change a person's life from disease to well. You're going to be able to save a life in a rural ER all by yourself in an emergency situation, to lead a team to do that. You're going to own those skills in a very short time. That's as humbling as it is exciting. What if you did that for a person who, if you had not inserted yourself into that situation, would have completely gone without care? That could be some of the best days of your whole life. That's what happens when you find your way into the world of the medically indigent. That can be scary because you're finding your way into a world where there's sometimes biting insects, there's sometimes no running water, you're living in a place where you're living at the same standard as these folks, dirt roads that have terrible potholes. When it rains, sometimes you get wet too. That can be scary. Does that make you feel afraid that when you go on a medical adventure like that, maybe in a foreign, remote location, austere? If that seems scary, maybe it's because someone told you it was. I'm going to give you some advice that goes far beyond whether or not you ever go on a medical adventure or not. Don't accept other people's fear and their fears as advice. Advice can come wrapped as fears, and fears can come wrapped as advice, and you have to decide which is which as you're listening. You've already taken on this somewhat fearful thing called the adventure of PA school. So you're already risk takers with stethoscopes. Congratulations on that. So going one step further and living among the poor, finding yourself needing to sterilize your water before you drink it, shooing away biting insects, how hard could that possibly be? PAs serve by our very nature. It's our tradition. It's not just a tradition that we dreamed up. It's our story of origin. We would not exist. We started in North Carolina nearly 50 years ago now, I think, 1967 or so, because we promised to go where medical doctors at that time did not want to go. We saw a need and we agreed to fill it. We don't exploit needs, we fill needs. I'm going to repeat that. We don't exploit needs, we fill needs. That's what we do. Now, you may reach a point in your career where you have to make a decision which is which for you. You may be in a group or in a group practice that you realize that there's a fork in the road. Do you meet a need or do you exploit a need? It may be subtle, and I hope you make the right decision. We offer basic primary health care. That's something everyone, every human being, everywhere deserves. Basic primary health care. You may specialize, wonderful, but our profession is codified in a way that you never get away from your generalist training. You will be tested and tested again throughout the course of your career, no matter how long you stay in this profession, that you'll always be drawn back to your generalist skills. I've had volunteers come on my medical teams that are 1 year out of their program or they're 32 years out of their program, and they can still function like a primary care specialist. They all bring the same care and abilities to function as a primary care specialist. They can do it, even if they're practicing in the United States as a CT surgeon or a urology PA. I'm speaking to you today from my heart, and I want you to learn to work from your heart. I want you to work with your own value system. People will gravitate to you if you can do that. The way you practice will symbolize you. We are not society's judges. You don't judge your patients if you're working from your own value system. People will see this. You're being watched now. You've got that white coat, just like the man before me said. And in these few minutes I have, I want to try to coach you in how compassion and common sense comes together and makes a humanitarian. I have a job offer for you. This job offer goes something like this. You work long days in the heat, with no air conditioning. You may or may not get a lunch, and if you do, it's going to be pretty quick and on the run. You do have to sterilize your own water, and you might want to know about the salary and benefits. Well, there's none, and in fact, you will pay to go on this job. And you go, oh, wait a minute, I have bills to pay. I put a lot into this education. I have commitments, and I only have 2 weeks off in my first couple of years at this new job. Well, before you hesitate to work for free, I want to tell you that volunteerism is where generosity, compassion, and humanity meet. People work for free all the time, and it's not a zero-sum game. There are so many volunteer options that you spend 2 weeks in the field with me every year, or one Saturday occasionally in domestically if you want, or whatever suits your needs, because the volunteer community has become so receptive to PAs over the past few years that you can do almost anything you want to do and still come back to your job in the United States that pays so well, and you can have it all. There's so many options. And if you decide to make a career in service, for instance, in the Indian healthcare, in the ASHS now, PAs are leading the way. Full patient care panels in the VA, your doc is very likely to be a PA. There's endless opportunities for us now. Our education, what I love about it among many things is the practicality of it. It's lean, it's focused, it gets to the point. From this crisp white coat that you have now, in about 27 months or so, you've got this generalist skill set. It's a ticket. It's a ticket to get you going and get you off the sidewalk and into the field and making a difference. You're a student of this art if you learn to use the basic tools that you can keep in your pockets. Know how to use your stethoscope in every way that it's meant to be used. It's not just something that you carry around. So often, people take it for granted. Know how to use your otoscope, your ophthalmoscope. Know how to interpret your own 12-lead EKG and interpret your own x-rays. Become a master of your simplest tools in your clinical exam. CTs and MRIs, fantastic, absolute miracles. But don't let them define your diagnoses. Own your own diagnoses. Because, for one thing, they're ordered too much, I think, in my opinion. And inefficiency is expensive, It makes you intellectually lazy. Don't be intellectually lazy. And when you get out into a place that doesn't have these things, you become far more valuable if you can use those simple tools that you have, and you can make your own interpretations of EKGs, of x-rays, of these things, and make your own diagnoses, call them your own, without needing specialists and special, super expensive machinery to make your diagnosis for you. So learn the basics. That's what these people behind me can do for you. They can teach you the solid basics, the fundamentals. We don't have an MRI in Haiti. People who come with me on these teams to Haiti reflect later some of the best times they've ever had practicing medicine. It reminds them why they want to practice medicine, and it gives them perspective when they get back to the United States why they do this. But what we have in Haiti is a model of rural poverty. We have subsistence, nutrition in the villages. We have infant mortality. We have geographic isolation where we serve. I invite you there for the time of your life as a clinician. Families there are no different in many ways than the very same families we grew up in this way. They want safety for their children, for themselves. They want good educations, good teachers, and they want health care with well-trained clinicians. I've also been working in Iraq. It's no different there. They want safety, they want health care, they want good educations for their children. In this way, we're all bound together with the same needs. In so many ways, PAs are meeting those needs insofar as the health care goes. So what makes a humanitarian? What makes it such that I'll see some of your names pop into my inbox when I check my email, or I'll be in some overheated, humid terminal, air terminal, in some equatorial capital somewhere in the world, and there you'll be. Others of you I'll never hear from. So what makes a humanitarian? First of all, you have to be able to notice imbalance and inequality. You have to be able to see it. And then you have to be bothered by it. Some people just aren't bothered by it. And then you have to have a desire to want to change it. A lot of people have the desire to want to change it. I have a lot of conversations, a lot of emails, a lot of communications with people who stay at that level of desire. And that's okay. At least you have the level of desire, and I trust that someday you'll do something. But a lot of people are at level 3, desiring to change something. Next level is you find a way, you're looking for a way that meets your skill set, meets your home economy, your family agrees, meets your schedule. You found something that works for you. And for some people, it's Piecework Medical Projects, my nonprofit. For some people, it's something else. Maybe your church is doing something. But you found something. And then finally, the last thing is apply yourself. Get out there and do it. Pack your bags, put your boots on, get your boots on the ground, get out there and do it. To me, that's my list. You might have your own list of what makes a humanitarian, but that's the practical list that I came up with. Maybe by that list, you're a humanitarian. Maybe by that list, you're somewhere on that continuum. It's a continuum. It's dynamic. So does this take a lot of time and energy? Maybe. But I think energy is created, not continuously consumed when you're doing something that you're passionate about. At least that's been the case for me. I've been doing my nonprofit now for 13 years, and I've found that we're actually picking up speed the more we do. It's kind of a downhill Sisyphus sort of action. We do more and we're creating more all the time. This is a law of natural physics that's just being ignored, and it seems to be working for us. especially since the earthquake in Haiti. It's just been the opportunity to defy this law of energy that says if you use it, you'll use it up. We're just creating more energy all the time, and more people are coming to us. I've never made a mistake if I gave more than I took, whether it was covering a shift for a colleague in the ER or as complex as taking cholera on in Haiti 3 years ago. Consequently, there's been this sense of gratitude that comes with this. And if you can start your day with that sense of gratitude every day with what you've got, you started that day the right way. I guarantee you that. Much has been given to me. Much has been given to us. Specifically, opportunity and a venue to apply it. We have the venue to enrich ourselves, and we have the opportunity to serve. And it seems that the more gratitude we have for that, the more benevolence comes our way. To those whom much is given, much is expected. That comes from the book of Luke. We all have been given a lot of help to get here. Not one of us rolled up here without some help. You got these people behind me to help you, and you've got those people behind you to help you. So, help comes looking a lot of different ways. And what you've been given looks a lot of different ways. We know at the very least you've been given a good mind, or you wouldn't be sitting here. And you've been given an opportunity to learn. You've been given the opportunity to evolve, for people to come to you, to give you your respect that you deserve from having gone this arduous path to achieve the opportunity to wear these coats and these pins and to have people give you their confidence. People are going to come to you in need. Much is expected of you. Does this need to be a burden? Is this bad news? Nah, it could be good news. It could be fantastic news. Because you're good at overcoming challenges. You wouldn't be here right now if you weren't. It's what you do. You're going to be a PA. It's what you do. You don't just show up. You can't. You can't do that anymore. I want you to let your heart be your best tool in your medicine kit. Be passionate. I want you to be grateful. And I want you to take good care of your heart. I want you to treat it with the respect it deserves. And I want you to pass that on to all your patients, and you'll get it back more than you can even imagine. Congratulations.
The class of 2014 will be pinned by Ms. Tessa Tibbin and Dr. Mace Hamblin. Dr. Laura Whitty will announce the student names. Please hold your applause until all the names have been called. Class of 2014, please stand.
Michael Abraham. Sarah A. Bardwell. Amy M. Bassell. Jared Bevel. Anson Blair. Kelly A. Boardman. Leanna E. Boer. Taylor E. Box. Jennifer Buzenkel. Aaron A. Carey. Derek B. Carpenter. Nathan I. Carpenter. Nicole Castleman. Leanne Chernovsky. Ashley M. Cobert. Nate Cook. Emily Correa. Jonathan D. Crapo. Zachary S. DeFrancis. Jonathan De Los Santos. Kimberly M. Donaldson. Christopher A. Dwiggins. Lolly Y. Edgerton. Brittany K. Ellis. Nathan Etheridge. Cade Evans. ML Freitag. Laura Fugelberg. Kristen N. Gacka. Desan Gonsalves. Jason J. Good. Stephanie A. Haldeman. Jonathan D. Holly. Lisa Hamilton. Alexandra Huey. Molly J. Hughes. Brett S. Hymas. Melissa M. Jangula. Kimberly Ann Jared. Frank D. Kanabi. Francis Luciano. Scott McDonald. Heather M. Marson. Lindsay R. Marshall. Mario McDonald. Brooke Medici. Joshua A. Miller. Allie Myers. Zina Nektelova. Joel A. Olmsted. Aaron Ordway. Michelle C. Payton. Ashley M. Penrod. Ryan W. Penrod. Tess L. Pitta. Aaron M. Rivera. J.D. Shull. Sabrina Schumar. Brianna L. Silvestri. Chelsea N. Soyring. Sarah G. Szymanski. Sierra S. Tialino. Trent R. Tipton. Joseph M. Tremmel. Kim Vu. Kevin J. Walkenhauer. Caitlin J. Wood.
The class of 2015 will receive their white coats from Mr. Ian McLeod and Mr. Phil Merrill. Mr. Bartley Rust will announce the student names. I wanted to mention that you'll notice that the class of 2015 have purple ribbons on in honor of the firefighters, the 19 firefighters who lost their lives here in Arizona just recently. Class of 2015, please stand.
Lisa Allen. Nicole Allsworth. Megan Anderson. Arshad Aziz. Jennifer Bagby. Jill Ball. Kevin Bale. Meredith Bell. Erica Biggs. Adam Bledjay. Ryan Bradley. Topher Bradshaw. Rianne Cholag. Chris Consolino. Jacqueline Cutler. Lindsay Deal. Tina Duddy. Frankie Giovannini. Vanessa Gordon. Brittany Gray. Jared Harbor. Janet Highhill. Michelle Hung. Lauren Moss Hunt. Eric John. Al Goose. Brennan Larson. Sarah Limberg. Rachel Matlin. Lauren Miller. Martha Milam. Stacy Mitchell. Marcus Morris. Erica Neal. Ty Nilsson. Scott Norton. Adrian Panlilio. Jessica Pasinich. Taylor Sartorius. Daniel Schultz. Sarah Schuker. Zachary Snediger. Irene Thomas. Jamie Thomas. Lindsay Thornock. Christina Tepe. Kyle Tisi. Teresa Ullman. Philip Veach. Ashley Williams.
The physician assistant oath will be conducted by Joshua Miller, class of 2014 president.
Would the class of 2014 and 2015 please stand? I pledge to perform the following duties with honesty. Please join with me. This was in the email I sent you. I pledge to perform the following duties with honesty, integrity, and dedication, remembering always that my primary responsibility is to the health, safety, welfare, and dignity of all human beings. I recognize and promote the value of diversity, and I will treat equally all persons who seek my care. I will uphold the tenets of patient autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, justice, and the principle of informed consent. I will hold in confidence the information shared with me in the course of practicing medicine, except where I'm authorized to do such knowledge. I will be diligent in understanding both my personal capabilities and my limitations, striving always to improve my practice of medicine. I will actively seek to expand my intellectual knowledge and skills, keeping abreast of advances in medical art and science. I will work with other members of the healthcare team to assure compassionate and effective care of patients. I will uphold and enhance community values and use the knowledge and experience acquired as a PA to contribute to an improved community. I will respect my professional relationship with the physician and always with the guidance and supervision provided by the physician, except where to do so would cause harm. I recognize my duty to perpetuate knowledge within the profession. These duties are pledged with sincerity and on my honor. You may be seated. Thank you.
Let's give both groups a big round of applause. Well, we're almost to the end here. It's always an exciting time to have our learners move on to the next phase of their education, just as it is to have new students join us. Please allow me just a minute to address each of you. To the class of 2014, it's been a challenging year, and you've worked very hard, and I'm very proud of you. Your work is about to pay off, as you've earned the privilege to move on to clinical rotations and participate in the care of patients. It's been a pleasure working with you this past year. I've gotten to know each of you well enough to know that you will do well in this next phase of your training. Of that, I'm very confident. But I still must pass along a few bits of advice. And Dr. Gilmore, I'm not terribly specific with the anatomy, so please forgive me. Amidst all the MRIs and CT scans and laboratory studies you will order over the next year, please keep these few things in mind. First, this part up here is much more important than any technology you'll encounter. Use it to apply good judgment in all that you do with patients. Secondly, don't forget that despite all the technology, this part here can tell you much about what's going on with the body. And more importantly, the hands can convey the healing touch that's so important, but often missing in healthcare today. Third, let this organ guide you to always provide compassion and hope to those in your care. I know that you may be tired of hearing me say, keep the focus on why you became a PA in the first place, but I just told you again. Allow me to compliment you on the thousands of hours your group volunteered, bringing hope and care to patients without health insurance at Compassion Queen Creek, Patch Clinic, Golden Gate, and the other clinics during the first year, along with the home visits you performed on the heart failure patients. Please continue these efforts as you move on to the rest of your professional career, as these are the things that bring out the best in all of us. To the class of 2015, you would do well to be like the folks going ahead of you, as they have acquitted themselves well. We welcome you as you begin your journey, knowing that there will be great challenges ahead of you this coming year, but also great reward. But know that through the good and the bad, we're there with you. As you move through the various elements of the didactic phase, remember the lessons you wrote of in your reflection paper taken from the Anatomy of Hope. Keep the reflection of why you entered this profession in the forefront of your thoughts as you master those challenges ahead. Work hard, study much, and take heart. You're now part of a community that is striving to do the right thing for those that need it most. Enjoy your journey. So this concludes our ceremony. I ask your indulgence in just a couple of announcements. We'd like to capture class photos on the stage. So if the class of 2014 would come on stage first, and while they assemble, I'd like the class of 2015 to remain seated until we're done with the class of 2014. While the class is assembling on stage, I want to take this opportunity to thank Student Services Department, Communications and Marketing, and the PA Department staff, Cindy Becerra, Bonnie Trahan, Linda Wheelis, and Bethany Shaver for their exceptional planning and coordination, and keeping me on track every day. As with so many other things in our program, we could not do without them. And finally, thank you all for joining us this evening. Please drive safely. This concludes our ceremony.